What are streamlines and what are the various methods of visualizing the fluid flow? So some of the methods to visualize the fluid flow are to draw these kind of lines, that is streamline, pathline, streakline, etc. So let us see what is a streamline. A streamline is defined such that the tangent to that line at the point will give the velocity at that point. So you can see a streamline is drawn here, that is ABC, and tangent to this line will give the velocity at that point, that is the velocity vector. So you can represent a flow using streamlines. Now let us see what is a path line. Path line is a line traced by a fluid particle during its motion. So let us start at time t is equal to t start. The fluid particle is here and it goes through this path, and this is called the path traced by this fluid particle is called the path line. You can see the fluid particle at various time points. This is an intermediate position, this fluid particle, and it reaches here at t is equal to t end. So the path traced by this fluid particle is called the path line. And let us see what is this streak line. A streak line represents all the points that have passed through a certain location. So let us take a point P. At t is equal to 1 second, a fluid particle passes through this point. At that time, there was a velocity, so this fluid particle traces a path like this. Finally, it reaches here. So at a particular time, it reaches here. After 1 second, again after 1 second, another particle is released. This particle, because the velocity at this point, at point P, changed, so this fluid particle traces a different path and it reaches this point at a particular time, that is t. Similarly, after another second, after the third second, another second, a fluid particle is released and the velocity at point P is again changed due to some reason, and it traces a different path and finally it reaches here. And another particle reaches here after, maybe it released after 4 seconds. So these fluid particles were passing through the same point. So if you take a snapshot of this at a particular time, you will get a streak line. So streak line connects all these points. So this is how you define the streak line. So a streak line represents all the points that have passed through a certain location. This here, the location is P. So what would be in the streak line if this was a steady flow? So if it was a steady flow, this streak line is similar to a path line, because in a steady flow, velocity will not change. So the particle will trace the same path. You can see the path locations here. So if you connect all these, you will get the path line. It will not go through a different path. All the path will be the same because it's a steady flow. Steady flow means velocity at a point is not changing with respect to time. So when the flow is not steady, the velocity at point P will change with respect to time, thus causing the fluid particles to trace different path each time. So this Pathline, streamline will be similar if the flow is steady. All lines will be similar. So let us see what is a stream tube. A stream tube is a tubular region of fluid surrounded by streamlines. It is a collection of streamline. And you can notice here that none of the streamline will never intersect each other. So the streamlines will not intersect each other.